greened out?
No, not on a podcast.
Oh,
but
not
in
on a
life.
podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of time.
Frequently. And it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
You'd think 11 years of smoking would make me a little more comfortable, have less greenhouse. And it's mostly when I'm alone. Like, I'll be down here.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, no.
I
thought I was chilling.
Dude, that's what pissed me off.
Playing video games. Why am I anxious?
Dude, that's what pissed me off. I used to like live by myself. And so like I always thought like my anxiety was tied to like being high around other people. And then one time I was just like in my house alone. I'm like, why? I'm literally in my house alone.
Yeah.
I was like pissed off at myself. I'm like, I'm getting a panic attack.
It just makes it worse.
Yeah, I'm having an anxiety attack just because I'm by myself. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
So I have nothing to prove. No one is here seeing this. Like, why am I worried?
Yeah. So what I did was I like texted myself. I started like on my notes app. I'm like, bro, why are you freaking out right now? You're like, I have no idea, dude. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I opened this whole dialogue with myself, and it actually kind of helped settle me down a little bit.
That's beautiful. Some would say it's schizophrenic, but others would say that's good self-love right there. That's therapy.
Schizophrenic people go undiagnosed if the voices help them in life. You don't hear about the good schizophrenia.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's so true. There's always an outlier.
I don't know if that's true. There's got to be one guy that's like, hey, what's up, bro?
Like the voices are telling him to like not care about monetary value, and he's just giving all of his money away.
Yeah.
He's been wearing the same shoes for 10 years.
Damn. And then he's Jesus.
And then he's Jesus.
Like, God's talking to me.
Dude, Jesus is probably the OG schizo. Dude, son of God. That's actually a symptom of narcissism, of paranoid schizophrenics.
But Jesus wasn't a narcissist. That was his whole thing. He's like,
Hey, we only got half the story.
Ladies and gents, welcome back to Articulate. We have a very fun little episode here with one Mr. Joey Becker. How you doing today, Joey?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
Good to be back, baby.
Recurring guest.
Yeah, recurring guest from like this is like the Articulate Era 1 guest, dude.
Yeah,
I've been through a couple eras of this, John.
Yeah, how many episodes in are you?
138.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
Congratulations. Never enough. No, that's sick though, dude. That's awesome. I mean, it's probably the same with comedy, especially when it's a couple of Midwestern nobodies like ourselves. Like, you do something for 10 years though, like, you never know, man. You might have one that just like, you might say some crazy shit. It might not be good publicity. You might say the wrong shit, but then you blow up, and then you got 100,000 listeners.
Got 100,000. That's all I want. I just admiration from hundreds of people. Only hundreds. I don't need hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, that'd be too much.
Joey, let's get into what we're talking about. We're going to talk about busking.
Talk about busking.
Busking is a word that I didn't know about.
Yeah, apparently not many people did. I guess maybe it was maybe that's why it was my calling. I just happened to I don't know if it's my calling, but one of them. And I knew what the word meant. I thought everybody knew it. I was just walking around being like, yeah, I've been busking. And they're like, what is that, man? Like, that sounds gross.
Did you move? Yeah, it is kind of gross. It sounds like a gross word, dude.
It actually is kind of gnarly.
But so you moved to New York. How long ago was this?
Year and a half. It was on my birthday.
Yeah.
In 2021.
I was going to say happy birthday, but that's not accurate.
No, I just missed my half birthday. So.
Okay. But you moved here to busk?
No, not at all. I moved here, I graduated film school. I mean, that was something I wanted to do because I was already making music and starting to play guitar. So I knew I wanted to do some music stuff while I was out here. And kind of by the time I moved here, I wanted to do I was thinking that might be the leading prospect for me to like do creatively, even more than film at that point, because I'd been out of film school for a year at that point, and I was just making, for the years during COVID, I was just making music all the time with my cousin, and so we shot like 10 music videos before I moved out here. So we were planning on trying to get exposure for that, but we were steaming full throttle ahead, but I was wondering how hard it was going to be to actually keep up with, growing it and getting it done, getting all the songs finished and released, with him being in Ohio and me being out here. We were both starting new chapters of our lives, and they were completely different. Like, he was full on settling down, and I was like vagabond going, just heading out to the city.
Yeah.
So we didn't end up releasing a lot of that music, and then I was just like so deep into the music still and really enjoying it and growing that I was like, okay, well, I can't stop. And I picked the guitar back up and started learning a bunch of covers, and I'd written a few original like folk and blues type stuff, and I just kept I was
music is like so much better than like a lot of other art forms.
It really is,
namely
man.
like stand up, dude. Like
really,
well, dude, because like I was listening to, I kind of had forgotten that I love music. You know how, I don't know, my love of music comes in and out, and sometimes it's like too much on the ears, you know, whatever that is, like music, like stimulation overload or whatever. Sometimes you have to like cut it out, and then
truly.
I have just been doing my own thing for so long that like, dude, like the last time before last night. So this is before last night. I mean, I would listen to an album just like on a car ride, and that's always fun. But like last night, there was this girl, Caroline Rose. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but I went and saw a concert of hers a couple months ago, and she performed the album back to front. And so I had listened to the album in the car beforehand, and I was like, you know, it's all right. It's kind of sad boy. I'm not really sure if I can like get into it or whatever. Not really where I'm at in life right now. You know what I mean? Mm. And then I saw the way that she performed it and like the emotion that she like, dude, and it was based off of like a real life like breakup and unfortunate series of events that had gone on in her life that were like tragic.
Yeah.
And dude, like the emotion that and she's like, she's like, I don't know why I do this to myself, because I have to perform this every night for the next like 2 months. And I just cry every single, like she cried during our show, like because it was so like deep. So last night, like I went and just like, dude, I just like put my headphones on, and headphones again, different experiences, both sides. I didn't even realize how much panning she did in it.
Oh wow.
And dude, like I was like, this is like real beauty and emotion and like processing that she put into this, and it was beautiful. It was a smooth underlay tuck there.
I was listening the whole time too. It just popped in my head. I was like, all right, now I'm comfortable. I'm settled in.
No, you're good.
That's so true though, man. That's amazing. And not everybody makes music like that, which is usually the stuff that I connect with the most. And I mean, I like a wide variety. I feel like obviously everybody does, especially in our generation because of the ease of access, but that stuff always hits the hardest. Reminds me of you meant talking about the concept around that album reminds me a lot of Bon Iver's classic Forever Ago. I don't know if you know that one.
Is that the one with Skinny Love on it?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. Oh,
and it's an incredible story behind it, and it's kind of the same thing, just super raw emotion of, I think in the same year his long-term girlfriend broke up with him. I think he got a really bad case of maybe pneumonia. After getting sick, he was having a lot of health issues and was hospitalized, and his like liver was failing. It was not looking good.
Jesus.
And he was in a band at the time. I can't remember what the name of it is. Something choir maybe. I can't remember. But it was kind of similar. It was more indie, like big band type, like big sound vibe, instead of like his classic
kind of grandiose type of
it was like kind of more like, I don't know, Arcade Fire is not a good example because it was very different music, but it was big. It was a full band,
right? And
they left his ass behind. They're like, we got to keep going with our music lives. We can't wait around for you to die.
Jesus,
or survive. And
so
he made it through.
So he dropped like a solo album.
Yeah, that album,
down
Skinny.
solo.
Stripped down. It's an incredible story. He moved out. I think it was in Wisconsin. His dad had some property. He had like a little shack out there, and he went out and lived there for an entire winter. And he was like really deep into his alcoholism at that point too, and like it was just getting worse because of all the shit he'd been going through. So he goes and says, I'm staying at this shack, my dad's shack. I'm going to live there, live off the land. He was hunting for his own food. He didn't have like many resources at all. The only music equipment he had was, because he couldn't afford any, was just some shitty old laptop with, I can't even, like a cheap software on there. I can't remember what it was. It's a very big, maybe Logic or something. I don't know. And he bought a guitar for $60 on eBay. And it was like this real old model, I think from like the 60s. And it just had it was just a gem, just like floating out there that no one had ever really captured the sound of in like a really effective way, I guess, in folk music, and it became the iconic sound of that album, and then went on to influence almost
his entire career,
his whole career,
and indie music,
and indie music in general of the 2000s. And I mean, every song on that album is beautiful. It's just about heartbreak and moving through it, and
yeah, dude, that's why music is just so much like. I don't know,
it's
man.
inspiring, especially when you're first starting out. It's like, damn, you don't need. It's easier than other art forms because usually it takes, especially the film, it takes a village to do something like that. But it was a nice reminder, and I feel like music's even more that way because everybody's either like, I'm self-taught, or like I know music theory, and if you don't know music theory, that's always been like a point of confidence, of lost confidence for me, feeling like, oh, my stuff isn't as valid because it may sound good, but this is like easy music, you know, like it's never gonna really ring true to anybody. But it just goes to show, like, you know, you can, wherever you're at, you can make something really powerful. So it's more about the doing it than anything else.
About the soul that you put in. You know what I mean? Like, I've been getting into Tyler Childers recently. I don't know if you know him or not. But
yeah, he's real big now, right?
Yeah, he got really, really big. But, like, I mean, when you listen to it, it's just this man and a guitar, like, and, like, the soul. You know what I mean? And
which is a lot of country and folk and music of that nature is.
Yeah, very true. But, yeah, so I had been, like, looking up quotes about comedy for a couple podcasts ago, but one of the quotes was like something about, like, I think it was from Martin Scorsese or something. He's like, because he's like, I love comedy, don't get me wrong, but comedy is like, it's almost like the snacks or the appetizer, or even like a drink or a beverage to go along with something. But like sometimes you need meat and potatoes. You know what I mean? You need something to like really fill that hole. And like, again, like trying to go through like a breakup that like really tore you down. The album I was talking about was called The Art of Forgetting. And one of the quotes is like, everybody talks about the art of loving, but they don't talk about the art of forgetting how to love, you know?
Oh, wow.
It's crazy, but imagine putting that in like a bit, trying to put that into like a stand-up bit and like convey the sadness. Nobody wants to like, I mean...
His heart is broken here. Let me show you how to...
Yeah, and obviously there are skilled comics that could probably help, you know, things like that. I know Mark Maron, one of his, like, the love of his life, even though he got married like 3 times, but the most recent one, like, recently passed, and he released a special after it. And it, you know, it kind of hit home. Yeah. But it's just so much, you know, it's a certain type of comedy, and it's a certain type of craft and skill to be able to do that. So. Right. But this isn't about
Right. I realize I never told you what busking means.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So you moved there. We were just talking about the beauty of music, how much it touched you, obviously, creating music with your cousin or whatever. Right. And now you move out here and you start busking because you loved the music and you still felt attached to it.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to let it go, and I knew it was to the point where I was like, okay, we've made all this music. I'm ready to start performing, and I had like some stage fright, I think, because I'd never played with an instrument. I'd sang on stage before, but never played with an instrument. And it was probably like 2 weeks of me sitting down here playing and like thinking, I just got to do it, man. Like, I guess I could do an open mic, but I know I could. It was so much. It was hard to ignore the opportunity because I'm in a city where you can literally just pack up your guitar, walk outside, and start playing music for tips, and just anywhere you can do it in the park. You can play it in the subway station. So I've seen people do it, and I'm like, okay, I'm like at least good enough to. I'm probably not going to be as good as most people. In certain spots I can't go to because it's like the best of the best, but I never see anybody playing at my subway station, so might as well go try it out there. And I just kept putting it off, and then one day I was playing, I was like, okay, that song sounded good. Like, I've mastered this song. Right. I need to at least go out and try it, and even if I fuck up, then at least like I'll work through it, you know. And if I make $1, I'll do it again. So I give myself to this day. I know I have that day off, and I got to go out. And it helped too because I had a really shitty job at that point. It was the first job I had in New York, so I was broke, and I did not want to pick up more hours at this place because it was already exhausting for 3 days a week. So I just went out there and started playing, and I think I made $3 the first day playing. Go. I didn't sing when I first got out there.
That's more than I made with comedy for 2 years.
That's, I guess, one benefit of music. I feel bad for the comics. Maybe you could do that. I've never seen a comic busking, but that would be sick. I'd give them a big tip. Work. Yeah, I guess because you kind of miss out. You can listen to a part of the song and be like, oh, that was cool, and move on. But if you hear half the bit, then it's like You didn't even get the laugh.
Yeah. No, but the music. So busking is literally the act of going out.
Exactly. It's
playing music
performance art in public, basically. Mostly music, but people dance. I mean, I don't know if they call this they usually just call them subway performers, like the ones that are dancing and stuff on the subway and doing flips and shit. But all of that's busking. Yeah, I don't know where the term comes from, but I think it first started. Maybe. I mean, it's probably people have been playing music just everywhere, all over, all the time. But it got big in New York because there was an act passed in the 1800s, and I looked this up because I was like, do I need a permit or something like that? Am I actually allowed to just walk out there and start playing?
Yeah.
And there was an act in New York passed by a coalition of artists that basically made it legal for musicians to play anywhere on public property in the city without getting fined or arrested or anything like that. The only stipulation is that you have to be under a certain decibel level. So you'll see people with speakers and big setups, and there's one guy on 14th and 8th Avenue headed towards Manhattan that I would see all the time on my way into work. He played an electric guitar, and he was had a backing track that was blaring, and he's just shredding all day.
Yeah.
But that's the only that I'm sure he's probably gotten some. Maybe he's made friends with all the cops over there or something. But there's a certain sound level you can. Yeah, exactly. Right. Which I'm not usually breaking.
With your acoustic guitar.
Yeah, my acoustic guitar. Well, I got the PA system.
Your sad boy music.
Yeah, my sad boy. Exactly. That's not gonna. You might not even hear it, let alone get in trouble. But I did get after I saved up enough money, I started bringing a PA system and a mic, and I got an electric acoustic and had a whole setup going for a little bit. But then some crazy shit happened, and I was like, okay, it wasn't that. I mean, it was kind of crazy. It wasn't too crazy, but it was enough for me to be like, all right, I need to not bring all this equipment out. I was out on a Sunday at 3 p.m. It was just broad daylight.
On the Lord's Day.
Yeah, the Lord's Day. I'd been out at like 1 or 2 a.m. before, and I'd had fucking crackheads coming up to me trying to take my money, and I had a one-legged man one time who tried to spit on me. And he was like rubbing my arm and shit. It was weird. I was in the middle of it. This is an offshoot, not the main story that really scared me. But it was this guy in a wheelchair with one leg. He came up to me and was like, I was in the middle of the song, I had my eyes closed, and I could feel him getting closer. I was just trying to ignore him. And I just feel him come up, and he's got my shirt, and he's just like doing that to it. He's just rubbing my shirt. And I just stopped in the middle of the song. I looked at him. I'm still trying to be nice. I'm like, dude, come on. Don't touch me. What are you doing? And he's like, what? What'd you fucking say to me? I'll touch whoever the fuck I want, you bitch. I'll do anything I want. He's like doing wheelies in his wheelchair, like spinning around me, screaming. And I was like, dude, I'm just saying, I'm in the middle of a performance. I'm trying to reason with a guy that's got one leg and is rubbing people in the middle of the subway station.
Yeah, that's on you, dude.
Yeah, that was on me. I was fighting an uphill battle.
Right.
And I just stopped. I stopped talking to him, and there's two cops this whole time standing and staring at, watching this happen. And they didn't give a fuck. And then he stops saying stuff. I'm like, okay, maybe it's gonna calm down. He's like, man, fuck you, I spit on you. And he hacks up a loogie.
Oh,
I jump off my stool, and I'm like, hell no, that's where I draw the line. I'm not getting spit on again in New York. There's too many crazy subway stories.
Right.
And then the cops finally came up and like grabbed him and like, all right, we're out of here.
Spitting is the line.
That's the line. You can rub and harass,
but spitting
bodily fluids. We gotta stop if we don't stop it somewhere.
They're gonna have evidence.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The balls on that guy though, man.
Yeah.
I could have just, if he's lucky, I'm a nice guy. I could have just take 1 foot and push him in front of the subway.
That's crazy. Yo, so what happened?
The big thing that
real
happened.
story.
Yeah, the real story was, I was fixing the wire.
Fucked it up, bro.
It was all stuck in the couch.
God.
Caught in the crevice.
All right, cut. Cut.
So I was sitting there. I'd probably been out for like a few times with my new equipment because there was a lot to lug around. So that already kind of slowed me down a bit. But I'm out there playing and, playing my pretty sad boy music. And these guys did not like it. They did not like it. They were behind me and they were talking. At first I didn't notice it, but I would hear little comments. At first it was just stop. I heard stop. Please make it stop. I didn't miss a beat. I kept going.
Yeah.
But it registered and I started blushing. I'm like, oh shit, this is happening right now. It's my first heckler.
Yeah.
And then I thought I heard another person like arguing with them, like defending me.
Oh.
So that gave me motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
But then I ended a song and I realized it was actually just two dudes making different comments of how bad I sucked.
Oh.
And they were just saying
no cuteness whatsoever.
No, they did not like it.
No.
There was every expletive under the sun. I think they started calling me.
Nice.
They stayed there for like 25 minutes. I swear to God, 10 trains passed and they're just sitting on this bench behind me, which is making it worse. I can't even see them, and I'm not trying to like instigate it at all. So I just keep going, and finally, one guy stands up and he's starting to leave. And he's like, well, I guess I gotta go find another fucking train. This pussy ass music playing all day. It's like, it won't stop. And I'm at that point, he's like eye to eye with me. And I see him. He's like, he's just some old dude in his late 40s or something. And he had to be drunk. And he keeps calling me just every name. And I'm like, dude,
just get on the train.
Get on a train. You could have left like 6 songs ago.
Yeah.
I was like, clearly some people are liking it. There's money in the basket. Like, I'm trying to just do a good thing here, man.
Yeah.
Damn, I was just having fun. He was telling me to get a real job. And I'm like, I got a real job. This is a real job too, though.
This is a hobby.
It's not like this is new to New York. What the hell? And they're like,
judge your hobbies of heckling people.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. What I mean? Exactly. I was being very accepting of it. I was
25 minutes of acceptance.
Exactly, dude.
Of your
what
hobby.
else can I do? I gave you the stage. And then once I said that to him, he turned around. He got so bug-eyed. He like squared up on me and then just like took off up the stairs yelling and screaming. And then this older dude, even older guy, starts trailing him and he's walking away. He's shaking his head and he turns around and looks at me and he just goes, man, you really suck.
Damn.
And I was just like, what?
Just beat while you're down.
Oh man, that kicked me in the teeth.
Yeah, that's tough.
And yeah, it was rough. And I was just I kept going. I was about to start another song, and there was a real sweet girl there who looked at me and she was like, you don't suck. You sound great. Keep going. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I needed that.
Oh, you need the one.
Yeah,
you got the one.
And I kept going. And the weirdest thing, so it left an impression on me. But it wasn't like a knock of confidence because by that point I'd been doing it long enough. I had so many amazing experiences of people coming up and talking. Like there's been times where like a couple teens will come up and they'll be like having a great time and dancing and running around. And one guy asked me to play and I let him play the guitar and he had his moment. And kids will come up and dance. And my favorite was when like a parent will give their kid $1 and you see a little toddler run up and they drop in the basket and they're just loving it. People love the harmonica. That was the money maker.
It's hard not to.
Yeah. And so there were so many great moments. Like I knew I had a place and that I was doing a good thing. But with all the equipment, I was like, damn, like that could have been rough. That was 3 p.m. on a Sunday. Like I've been coming out here in the middle of the night. All alone, like few people coming in and out of the trains. Like this is
using your male privilege, dude. Using it.
Yeah, exactly.
All night long.
All night long. And they, I just was worried because I had all the equipment. I'm like, I'm gonna get. I don't want to have to. If I do have to square up with somebody, I don't want to be worried about the $1,000s of equipment I've got around me to try and defend that while I'm getting beat with a lead pipe or something,
Yeah.
I want to be able to, if it's my old acoustic guitar, I'll use that as a weapon. I don't give a fuck at that point. But so I stopped for a while and just and then I got a different job, so it wasn't as like I didn't need to do it as much. So then I didn't really stop playing though. I just came back here and I got stronger.
Yeah.
I didn't change the songs. I'm still playing sad boy music.
Never quit, dude. That's where the emotion comes from, right?
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Well, so, I mean, part of what we had talked about, talking about getting this podcast set up was that, you've obviously, New York has been a big adjustment, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure busking definitely played into part of, like that development and everything. And like, I mean, that definitely gets you accustomed to the city life a little bit more, I would assume, being out and around everybody. I mean, when I moved to Philadelphia, I would literally just go down to like a park and just like, I bring like a journal, a book, like a joint, you know what I mean? And just like watch people walk around, the performers, people passing out pamphlets. There's like yoga classes and stuff. And it's like, it's not that I necessarily met anybody, but it did kind of be like, all right, this place is kind of, they got their thing going here,
Yeah, you just get a feel for the city.
Yeah.
And that's so different than from Ohio, especially from Lebanon. Not like, I don't know about you, but I didn't go to Cincinnati a ton.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have much of a taste for the city life at all,
Right.
which is something I looked forward to. I was excited to just like be surrounded by so many people. But yeah, it's really overwhelming whether you go out and put your feet to the fire and do something like that, like busking, or just even going out and journaling and just people watching. Like it's easy to, especially when you come from the Midwest, I think for it to be so overwhelming and you're just trying to get your bearings
Right.
and adjust. You're like, I'm gonna stay inside where it's the safe,
Safe,
and cozy.
yeah.
Yeah, the great indoors. Indoors.
You're the singer here. Yeah.
Banger. Great song. I'm glad you got that reference. People have been picking
We
up
both had it at the same time.
Gen
It was like,
Z,
are we
baby.
going for it, baby? We're going for it. We want to put it out, too.
That was great, dude. We got to do a duet. We'll have to go up at the open mic today.
Do that at the open mic. Yeah.
But yeah, it totally, I think, helped me adjust and embrace the city for what it was. And that's such a big part of it, is just the giant sense of community with strangers, even when you're in the city.
Yeah.
Like the biggest city in America.
No, I definitely feel that. I mean, within Philadelphia, it still feels like everybody's, they call it the city of brotherly love, but everybody knows that. I think people are really loyal there, which is awesome. So if it came to like a citywide thing, like, a sporting event or something like that, we're all on each other's team, right?
Yeah.
But in the same sense where if it's like a community type of thing, where it's like, if I hang out with stand-ups, you know what I mean? They're probably going to, I also hang out with actors too, you know what I mean? They're probably going to be like, I don't, they're not going to be like best friends right off of the bat, but my stand-up friends will stand up for their, my stand-up friends will stand up for their stand-up.
Yeah. Oh, they're really
But the active friends will all be loyal to each other, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of loyalty that goes around in the city like that.
Yeah,
and,
which is, it's definitely amazing. It's a sweet part.
But you were kind of talking about, like, moving to Philadelphia, I definitely feel like I've changed in a more confident way, and definitely kind of I had to adjust. Like, I think I'm the same person, but it's like putting that emotion and personality into a new area, and that has to adjust.
Yeah.
So in a way that I like to, with like within acting, right? There's like scripts, and you can only within a script you can put as much emotion into the script as you can, but at the end of the day, you can only put as much emotion into the script as the script is written, right? So say Ohio is a certain script, I'm able to put as much of myself into that script as I can, but I'm still limited by that script, right?
Yeah.
Move out to Philadelphia, script changes.
Yeah.
I'm still the same emotional person, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I had to learn how to adjust to that script and like really understand how I fit in this bigger city.
Yeah.
And
totally.
it's awesome. Like I love it.
Nice. Yeah, that's sweet, dude, and that's such a thing. That's such a big thing to overcome, I think, because you realize it pretty early on when you do a big move like that you might have had a sense of confidence from where you came from, and you feel secure in your own identity, but you can feel the tension of trying to make it fit somewhere else.
Dude, I was like, when I left Ohio, I was like, I'm the king of this shit, bro. Like I own my town. I come out to Philly
the
for
coolest
like
cat.
for like a year, like an entire year of living in Philly. I'm like in the corner, like hi, like hey guys, you know what I mean?
Dude, same for sure. Like when I moved here too, I moved in with my roommates. I didn't even fucking know these guys, and now this is my closest friends in New York. But when I first got here, I was like, why am I so fucking weird, man?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
You feel like a weirdo.
Yeah, I feel like a psycho, man. Like I'm barely. It's different though. I mean, that shit happened in Ohio too. Like if you go into something like if you just uproot yourself and move to a different city and no one's around and you don't have access to your people anymore, like it's hard to express yourself as fluidly. Like I wasn't. It wasn't that I was. Yeah, as truthfully. It wasn't that I was. I was having like an identity crisis, or I didn't feel confident in my sense of self, but I just was figuring out how to
adjust to the script.
Yeah, exactly. And I was overthinking it too, because these guys are so accepting, and like they're just a bunch of knuckleheads like me too. So it was like I knew it wasn't gonna say like the wrong thing or like have them like blast me and be like, oh, you're an asshole. Like, we're judging your character on some stupid joke you made.
But it feels like you're internally like bouncing judgment off of them, and it feels like if I say something weird, like they're gonna think, oh, this fucking weird Ohio guy isn't. He's like, it's just gonna be like a domino effect, and then it's gonna end with you having to go back to Ohio.
Yeah,
like, that's
exactly.
like
The stakes feel so high.
Yeah,
yeah, and that is like when I first got here, I was like, I just gotta do whatever I can to stay here. And I hear like there's a statistic where it's like, on average, the person who moves to New York is gone after like 6 to 8 months or something like that.
Yeah.
So once you get over that window, it's like, okay, the city's gonna keep trying to eat you alive, but you clearly have you have some stamina.
Right.
You can endure the madness a bit. So that, and once you feel, it's super empowering though. Once you get over that obstacle, like you're like, oh, I am as I wasn't wrong about my confidence in myself. Like I do feel like I was growing as a person before I came here, and now this is only, all these new experiences are just reinforcing like that you know, there's like that you can find good relationships and great experiences no matter who you are all over the world, whether you move or not. And then it only adds to it, and like it just adds another layer of who you are and the kind of adaptability you have, the different social spheres that you can
move between fluidly.
Yeah. And that's a super important skill, because I mean I think of most people from Ohio, like they get different around, whether it's like someone from a different just background or race or country or whatever, like that puts them out of their comfort zone, and then they put on a different mask.
And they try to like cater to that. Like,
yeah. And then that's when it really gets awkward.
Yeah. And that's overgeneralizing. Well, maybe not overgeneralizing, but it's generalizing, right? It's not everybody in Ohio is like that.
No, for sure. But I think because it's more of a homogenized like area,
you're very, very comfortable with the people around you.
Yeah, which is normal. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
like,
that's community.
You might be more
loyal as fuck to my Ohio.
Yeah. Shout out Ohio.
Yeah.
We'll always be home.
Right.
Always love that state.
But it is important to be able to, when you run into like, it's almost like the thing was like, with like, it's not, there's some people that they're not necessarily racist, but they've just have never been around like people of other races.
Right.
So they're just like, oh, this is different. Should I get, what's up, brother? You know what I mean? It's like, nah, you can't, bro. You can't. That's not.
Yeah, no. You do not lead with that.
No.
Yeah, and like that's like a more innocent version of ignorance. Like that's just lack of experience at that point.
Yeah.
But that's how you break down all these different walls of engaging with different people. And that's like, I mean, you hear that all the time, especially in Ohio, like from the best teachers. Like they were always saying like, if you want to become stronger as a person and like build character, best character building you can do is go somewhere. Go to a place you've never been, whether it's out of the country or several different states, or just go out and meet different people, because it shows you your strengths and it shows you your weaknesses even quicker. And then it shows you the beauty and things that aren't what you're used to, you know, because it's easier to, and I think that's where any sense of like ignorance usually stems from, even if it is a more innocent one of just lack of having a diverse experience in any sense, is like you just haven't done it. You just get you get too comfortable. You just get stuck in the same place, and it's just what you're used to. And then, which is nice. I mean, a lot of people like to do that when they settle down, which I think is why they emphasize that when you're young, go do something, go meet new people.
Right, because settling down, I mean, like, the idea is already tempting to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
to just like be in one place and just like have a comfy job and like a person who loves you.
Oh yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And there's obviously it's not a perfect life, you know. So settling down is, you know, it's a whole thing, right? But yeah, it's just the idea of it does seem very, very comfortable, clean, no crazy challenges usually that are gonna pop up.
Yeah, exactly. Not
predictability.
Yeah. You get a sense of predictability, which. That is one thing in New York that's even when you do have that stable job, which is like kind of the route I've started to take. I've been at my job now for like a year, and it's the first job I've really liked. But it's not really what I thought I was going to be doing. I didn't think it would get this predictable. I thought I was going to come out and be working on film sets and was going to love that and just be like hit the ground running and embrace the suffering that comes with that kind of
tortured artiste.
Where everything's changing every day and you're starving and all that stuff. But you can find it even here. You can find your own balance, but everything always feels like a threat. You know, I like you could have the shittiest job and you're just struggling, or you could get like a cushy job, but like we've had tons of layoffs lately, so it's just like things move so quick here that you never, which is good. That's what I wanted. I wanted to go somewhere it was like I want a new experience every day, and to keep growing and have soak up all these different stories. And that's been the best part of being in New York. And maybe I haven't focused all my energy in the way that I thought I would have initially, but that's the fun part of life too, especially when you do a big move like that, is just following your intuition and doing what feels right.
Yeah, but I feel like that same sort of thing, whereas like I thought, like when you move into a city, people are like, oh, you're gonna get so much energy and it's gonna be like quick, and I'm like, oh, dude, I'm gonna be able to do so many things.
Yeah.
And then you just like half of that energy is spent just like getting up.
Yeah, just existing. You're
Just
like,
existing. You're like, holy shit.
Back out into this hellscape.
Yeah, yeah. And like it's kind of what you're saying is like part of that. I think for me especially it was hard like adjusting, because like there's such a at least maybe it was just I did it myself, but I feel like there is like a social standard of productivity that like is like forced into our brains. And again, it could have just been me like before moving out here. It was just like, okay, you know, you're in Ohio, so things move pretty slow, so you can kind of like force yourself to do things and like, you know, have that discipline and put your focus every day towards something that you want to do. And then you come out here, and like I said, you think you're going to be able to have that same sort of focus, but that energy is spent on other things that you would think of. And so your discipline, it's just part of the transition period, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you kind of find that balance a little bit in the city, then you can hopefully the goal is to at some point be able to like continue to gradually harness that focus towards that dream, or
man,
you know, the goal, or you know, the whatever you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to give yourself time, because that kind of freaked me out, because I felt like in Ohio I was like, my work ethic was as good as it could hang with anybody, you know, and it only fueled it more when I would be around other people with really strong work ethics. But then coming out here, it's just such a fast-paced society that it requires a lot of it just stimulates your brain in such a more intense way that's burning energy from the time you get up, like you said. And when you're making a huge adjustment like that, you got to give yourself time to not put so much pressure on to like do something, but you can't lose it all either, because then that's how then you just, and I've had that thought a lot where it's like, if I don't come out here and eventually like start boosting my drive and start making moves and putting myself out there consistently, no matter how uncomfortable it is, then what was the point of coming out here?
Yeah, I'm just gonna get beat up. And,
yeah,
like I said,
just gonna get harassed and
chewed up. Yeah, harassed and then spit on.
Yeah, going home with my tail between my legs, just like, yeah, I got spit on in New York. Like, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
but it's true, and I feel like I'm finally, which is it's honestly a really exciting time to talk to you. I feel like, because the last month has been, I feel like I've finally, there's been steps to it. Busking was one of those steps. The different jobs have been a step, meeting new people, losing old people, or old relationships like that. Those were all really intense experiences that needed almost all my attention at the time, and then I needed any free time to just like digest them. But now it's like, okay, I feel like I'm on my feet again, and like that meter of my energy levels and my drive is getting better. I feel like I'm where I felt like in a lot of ways I took a step back from my best version of myself, where I'd been making progress. Now I feel like I've surpassed where I was when I first got here. And I just want to keep it going. It's fueling the fire. I feel comfortable enough now. I'm doing all the open mics and busking and just stopping and talking to people too. I've met friends that are other artists. There's a guy that I bought a couple paintings from the other day. I've got a few pieces from him. His name's Will. Guy from Michigan, actually. So we're mending the feud of Michigan and Ohioans. And he's a painter. He's a full-time painter, and this guy is just inspirational. He makes beautiful stuff, and I just met him one day leaving the subway station when I first got here, and he was just super genuine, and we hit it off. And he wrote a book, and I read he's like a young guy who wrote a memoir, which is unheard of.
Yeah,
and it was an extremely thoughtful and moving piece, honestly. And I see him all the time when I go into work now. He's selling paintings outside the subway station. I'm always dapping him up, giving him a big hug.
Yeah.
It's just little things like that where you
Yeah.
start to feel like you fit in, and that just adds so much to your inspiration to. And I don't consider myself like a socially anxious person, which is why I have moments
Put
of
out.
it, but like overall, I know I'm an outgoing and person who feeds off conversation. And when I first got here, that was so alarming to me. I'm like, what's happened to me? Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. This is not what I thought I would be feeling.
Yeah.
But you have enough experiences and moments like that to where you find your new rhythm in your day-to-day life, and it makes it super exciting and just inspiring to push yourself out of your comfort zone each day.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I'm glad I'm feeling good. I'm
Yeah.
feeling good to be at that place.
Yeah, man,
Moving
and
up.
I'm glad you're feeling that way too, dude. That's perfect. Like I said, I think there is just that point that's after. I think it is like the 6 to 8 month, turnaround of like transition.
Yep.
And it's like so hard to adjust because you know who you think you know who you are.
Yeah, you're like, God, 8 months, that's forever. Like, I could be getting way more done.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, what did I do in the past 8 months? And it's hard to give yourself that credit of like, it's hard to be like, really, I just adjusted to the city. That's all I was doing. But like, that's not nothing. You know what I mean?
No, that's not. That's
because then
honestly, not everybody can do that.
And when you have that like community that recognizes you from the beginning, people that have seen you change and everything, I think a lot of it is just time as well.
Yeah.
And so you like see somebody out on the street that you remember, or you're like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? Or like you go to a place like on a Friday that you met somebody a couple weeks ago. And you're like, oh, dude, I remember you. You know, it's like even just like the little connection and shit like that. And becoming, like you said, it comes back to adjusting and being able to be yourself in a new environment. Yeah.
And then when you get there, you feel once you get to that point, how do you feel with Philly? You feel like you're there yet?
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm thinking about moving out here.
Nice. You're like, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Let's run it back.
Right.
You're
I figured
struggle.
I figured if I'm gonna do New York at some point, which I do, just like in general, I think it's just a goal of mine. I think that, I might as well do it while I'm young and while I've got my footing in Philly now. You know what I mean? I feel strong.
I imagine the transition is going to be even smoother for you now, too.
Right, because I've already done it
moved.
once.
You lived in Jersey for a while, too, right?
Yeah, just like 3 months, but it was like kind of pre-Philly. I consider it all like one sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and like the fact that in Philly, I didn't know anybody. Now I know at least you. I know a couple other people that are moving up here, too.
Right.
So it's like at least like now I'm like, it won't be nearly identical. It won't be nearly the same at all. I don't think. And like, and Philly's always just, hour and a half, 2 hour drive away. So if I miss any of my friends from there, just, like come back.
Yeah, it's even easier than going back to Ohio and seeing the friends. Because that's a hard thing too. That's still been the hardest part of all of this is being away from friends and family from Ohio. Like
so true.
So it like
we love you guys.
Yeah, we love you.
Yeah.
Oh,
dude, because people like when I left, one person, I don't even know if they really meant it, but she was like in an emotional state, and she's like, it just feels like you just left us, man. It just feels like you kind of left us, and I don't hear from you anymore. It's
Damn,
like
you abandoned me.
It's like I'm just trying to live my fucking life.
No, exactly, dude.
And it's like it's not that I don't love you and miss you guys, but it's like we were talking about.
I think for some people,
your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's so true. And like for some people, I respect that. Like maybe it was a different comfort zone you're pushing by staying. But
it was challenging for me to stay for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
To get through that, yeah, good for you.
Exactly. I think a lot of people just feel like I've lost contact with some of my closest friends that I made in Ohio, and we talk every once in a while, but it's been less and less. And it just initially when I got out here, it was like I think both of us expected that we would keep in touch more than we do.
Yeah.
But you don't realize like how. I don't know. Like it is always easier. There's something to be said about like you're always someone's a text away or a call away, and like you should always do that. But there's only so many people you have the energy to do that for, and like my main concern. You have to put
a lot of that energy towards social interactions here.
Exactly, and otherwise it's like you're just stuck there, So
right.
it is like
if teleportation was a thing, I would come see you every weekend.
Gotta get these fucking bullet trains going.
Yeah, seriously, we should get some fucking bullet trains.
That's gonna be a great. It'll fuel the economy.
Yeah,
love. Everybody
with
will be connected. It'll fuel this economy with love. You know how much shit I'll get done if I saw my parents every weekend, man?
Yeah.
That'd be great. But still got to be in New York? That would be
seriously.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that, man.
But it's natural, and those are the best friendships, you know. And I hope that's like, I don't know how that continued if they still feel abandoned by you. But the best, I figured that out in college. Because I was in film, I knew I was an art guy, and I'm like, I'm gonna be floating around for a while, and the best that I can do, and the way that I can get the most out of these relationships is to come to terms as quickly as possible with the idea that, you know, not everything is supposed to last forever, at least not in the same state that it existed in at one time. And that doesn't have to mean that it loses its meaning or it's the depth behind what it meant, or how powerful it was, but it just means it changed. And I don't have any love loss or anything, and I hope that's the case. And when you get back together with those people, like Logan, he's a perfect example. He didn't do it. He didn't come out or to New York, and he didn't go to a city like he was thinking. He found his own thing, and he was happy with that. And we just ended up going different ways. And we don't talk nearly as much now, but I know every time I walk through the door and see that guy, it's gonna be right
back where you were.
Exactly, dude. It's like no time. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, those kind of relationships are they're one in a million, but they can happen as often as you want if you have that frame of mind. That's how you take the most, I think, from whatever relationship. Because we're all going, like everybody. It's another cliche, but we're all leaving one day anyway. So you can only get so much out of a relationship that.
But that's, I mean, I was one thing that I went back to Ohio at the end of April just because I was like missing home. Like last time was like Christmas. And so it's only like technically like 4 months, right?
Yeah.
But I just had felt like in Philly, I hadn't developed, obviously I have friends, I have people that I'm close to and everything, but I hadn't really like pinned down any one relationship as special as some of the relationships that I made back in Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
So I went back to Ohio. I hung out with Joey, Olivia, and Maddie. Dude, we hung out for 4 hours, did not talk about one thing. We literally just did bits and like voices and fucking laughed the entire time and picked it right back up.
That's beautiful, man.
And it was a beautiful refresher, and plenty of other people I saw that I picked right back up with. It was wonderful. And then I came back, and like you said, it put me in a certain frame of mind to kind of understand what that meant to me. And then the people that now in Philly, since I've been back, which has only been like a month, since the end of April, and be like, damn, these people are probably going to be those people for me. You know what I mean? It's like I have these relationships. I will pick back up with these people if I ever leave. I mean, I'm in it right now, and I should enjoy it.
Right.
But in my mind, I was just constantly comparing it to like the old relationships from Ohio, and it's like you can't do that.
No, and it's natural to do it at first, but I think if you have that self-awareness, you're on the right track, and you're gonna move past it, and those relationships will become just as important as the ones you've had. And that's the beautiful thing about relationships, is that unless, at least in a friendship sense, unless you're polyamorous, but you can have multiple relationships, and you don't have to compare them or rank them, or some I think naturally fall into place as far as a hierarchy goes. But when you're someone living on the road in a sense like that, then that's the best way to do it, because you're gonna have such profound moments with people, and they're gonna happen quicker and quicker because you're realizing the value of every interaction and what it could be if you get out of your way, you know.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be obstacles, like, and you're gonna feel them for a little bit where it's not going to feel quite right. But yeah, that's how it felt going back to Ohio. I was like, I'd miss them so much sometimes when I go back and be like, oh man, I miss my people. Like these new people are great, but it's just not the same.
Right.
It's not the same level. Yeah, not the same dynamic or level of bonding. But now it's to the point where I go and I like soak it all in, and I'm like, these are having even more meaning. These relationships, these moments are having even more meaning with the people that I came up with. That when I go back to New York, I'm like, I feel like a superhero. I'm ready to go back and take over the city and hug everybody on the street.
That's awesome, man. We're gonna fuel the economy with love.
Love.
I think
the
that's
ultimate currency.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up, man. I think it's a good message.
Hell yeah, man.
I think we did the thing. Joey Becker. Yeah, flew with Future Pod. Is that the new
Future Tree Pod?
Future Tree Pod. It's a good name. I like that.
Thanks. It came from you know the I think it was a college article started coming out about the idea of like burying yourself in a tree.
Oh
pot.
yeah.
And I was like, I was getting tired of Edgar Allan Joe. I was like, it's time to move on from that gimmick,
Right.
and start a new gimmick.
Future tree pot.
And it just popped in. I saw
It's a great
something.
name.
It came back up. I was like, dude, I want to be buried like that. I want to be a fucking tree. So bad.
Yeah, I want to be a tree now. Especially, I'm definitely gonna be one.
Beat me to the tree life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, follow him. He's always doing music stuff and creative stuff. Love it. And yeah, dude. Well, thanks for letting us record. And let's do a little mic bump, and then we'll wrap this up.
Let's do it. Thanks for having me.
It's the last thing I'll do. I'm gonna die